Even if time should stop, even if all should go, you'll be in my heart. I'll be in your heart. Just be still, wait. Just be still, wait. Even if time should stop, even if all should go. Even if time should stop, even if all should go, just be still, wait. Just be still, wait. I'll be, you'll be, just be. I'll be, you'll be, just be. Just be still, wait. Just be still, wait. Even if time should stop, even if all should go.
That was amazing. Tell us who you are. Let people know who you are in your own words. And
All
what you
right.
do.
Well, my name is Ria. I am in New York and grew up, born and raised in New York. I grew up in the foster care system. So big in the foster care system, when you go through a lot of different things, people have a strong narrative of what you're going to be when you grow up. Like they'll let you know. So different foster parents and things like that have, expressed either what they felt, you're going to be. So I have always kind of been an against the grain type of person, even when it was to my detriment. But being that I'm an against the grain type of person, when the crowd would do things, like even when my brothers and sisters would do things, I'll just give you an example. My adoptive parents would say, like, you guys want to go to Great Adventures? And I would be like, no, we're going to Sesame Place. And they would be like, we need your vote. You have to say Great Adventures. And I'll be like, nope. So guess what? The whole family had to go to Sesame Place. I had fun because I was the smallest, but they were they were miserable because they were so old. But that's just an example of how I refused to fit whatever mold was laid out for me. And I think that relates to what Kat was bringing out earlier, is you have to kind of be a mold breaker, because people, whether it be your peers or whatever, even some adults, well-meaning adults will sometimes burst their bubble because they've gone through their own trauma. So they will sometimes live vicariously through you as a child. So I had those issues growing up. So being, like I was bringing out, a mold breaker, I just decided that in order for me to succeed in life, I absolutely had to find my niche. But I didn't want to be stuck in my niche at the same time. I don't want to be just an artist. I want to be so much more.
Right.
And everybody is definitely capable of being their best selves, whether it be, so I write poetry. The music on that video was me singing, and my son, he Al, thank you. But my son actually creates the music for all of my painting videos, and I find that by us working as that team, it kind of causes, almost like a therapy for people. And I didn't realize that until I received some direct messages. If I go off the grid too long, I'll get messages like, where are you? Where's this art? So it's good how, myself, as well as the people who are collectors or followers of my art, we have like this symbiotic relationship where, they help me to have that inspiration. I've received some messages, some really painful messages about people going through some crazy situations. And they said that my art got them through that. And I didn't understand it. But I'm extremely into the Bible. And I know a lot of people, shy away from that, especially in 2021, where there's one thing happening after another. But I do strongly believe that my belief in God, Jehovah God, the Almighty, I am like empowered. And that faith it's almost like an art within itself. And I think that that's very important, even if a person does not believe it or not, whether you believe it or not, the Bible is extremely powerful. And I do think that throughout these crazy traumas that I've experienced in my life, some things that people have done, people have, taken drugs because of certain things. They've resorted to some really terrible things, going through a percentage of some of the things that I've been through. But because of art, that being a huge vent for me, as well as my Bible-based training, I guarantee you that has literally lifted me out of the darkest of times.
Right. You can see that. We can see that through your art, not only through the vibrancy of your colors and how people relate to your art and they feel a sense of peace, because there's that element of spirituality in your work. Now, I'm just wondering now with children, like did you start painting or drawing when you were a little girl, or did this came to you like when you were older? And do you use that as a way of, helping yourself to sort of, heal your traumas that you went through as a child, who went through the foster care system?
Absolutely. Well, my first government crayons I received, I think I was like 5 years old. It must have come to me like during a holiday or something. They give you like a book bag full of school supplies, and things like that, when other kids are getting like real gifts from their parents. But I was just so excited about this brand new book bag. It had color pencils and crayons in it. And I wound up drawing, I don't remember what I drew, but I do remember making the hands look like how a scarf looks. Like, how a scarf looks and it has the lines.
Right.
But and my sister, she probably would be laughing because that's how we used to draw the hands. But I was maybe about 4 or 5 at the time. And I remember adults saying, wow, she actually could draw really good. So then I remember, from 5 and 6 and going up even through high school, I remember starting to like charge people like $2, and I would do like little portraits in school. And
entrepreneur right here.
Yeah, and I kid you not, I was in like maybe elementary school, and it would help me get a snack. Like when I had free lunch, because being a foster child, you get free lunch, right? So right. I'm sitting here and I'm like, I could buy Pop-Tarts today. Because you buying it from the school, and I would be able to get like the powdered donuts or the Pop-Tarts and look like one of the regular kids, and it was, or a Capri Sun, and I would use like my little $2 or whatever, and drawing throughout the years. I wound up stopping when I was in like late teen, like 18, 19, I stopped for a little while drawing and painting. And I started again in 2010, 2011, and decided to make a business out of it in 2012. Only because at this point, I have my own kids. My kids are headed, my son was in his teen years and my daughter was small, and I wanted to not have them go through the stresses that I had to endure in any way, even feeling that alone feeling as a child. So, prayerfully considered being home with them. And, thank God it worked out to the point where I'm able to have this as my full-time job.
Right. And thank you for that answer. And what would you say to a child that's listening right now that is finding their ways and their different forms of expressions? I know my daughter, who is now a teen, loves to draw, loves to constantly showing me her new drawings, constantly trying to improve. And that's why she loves your work as well. She loves the vibrancy. She chose this beautiful painting that you did, and she bought the biggest one that she could find. So like, what advice would you give to a child who feels insecure about their drawing or their form of expression, which is drawing, or like there's many ways, like Kat had said earlier on, singing, writing poetry and things. What advice would you give to them if they were starting to use that expression of drawing? you know,
Um,
and they were feeling not sure, unsure, and not confident in what they were doing.
That's a really great question. I always use illustrations when speaking to anyone. So I'm going to illustrate it this way. If a person was trying to win a gold medal for the Olympics, even a child, like let's say you never did any sort of gymnastics, you're not a runner or whatever the sport is, you're not a wrestler, whatever it is, you begin, you're not going to expect to win the gold medal the first time you go into the Olympics. You're not going to expect to win that immediately. So you do have to practice your craft. You do have to continue and persevere in it. So I would say to anybody who wants to either just grow in anything, whether it be poetry, you're going to one day look back at your poems that you wrote when you were 11, 12 years old and be like, I actually published this in the school newspaper or whatever it is. You're going to look at those and be like, wow, I was so off, but at the same time, you're going to see your growth. So I remember those paintings and drawings I did when I was 5. And I remember how childish they were, but to an adult, it was something really powerful. But me looking back at those now, I probably would be like, whew, goodness, good thing I kept practicing. We have to keep at whatever we're doing in order to be successful. So if you want to be an architect, you can't just pull out, a grid paper and expect to build the Taj Mahal. You have to absolutely practice. You might have to start out with a tree house, a dollhouse, whatever it is. But eventually you'll reach your goal. And persistence, and like Kat was bringing up earlier, finding those different outlets. So maybe you want to be an architect, but you find that, actually building, building is not your thing. Switch it up. Now paint. If you find that you're good with words, guess what? Be like Sun Queen, write your words down. Whatever it is that you find pleasure in, work at it whole soul, which is also like a scripture. So I definitely admonish everyone to just focus and hone in on your craft. You may not find it immediately, but when you do find it, don't let anyone deter you. Break out of those molds.
Absolutely. Wow. Those are beautiful words. I appreciate you, Ria, and also for taking the time to be part of this Open Mic, Open Doors series. And this is the first of many. And I hope to have you back again. So I will, because of time, I will have to move forward. Otherwise, I really appreciate you